gorgeous. Welcome back. So, my name is Olga, if you don't know me, and in today's video blog, we'll talk about, do you really need a niche? So, this is a big question that I get asked a lot in Fearless Entrepreneur, the program that I run. And we talk about this topic, and this is such an amazing thing to talk about because maybe just a couple of years ago, even less, I was totally clueless and I didn't know how to navigate it. So what I wanted to share with you guys is something that was really game changing for me. And it was a point in my time when I realized that um, fear of creating a niche or not wanting to finding that specific group of people that you work with is actually a limiting belief. So yes, guys, hear me out. So if you have a fear of niching out or find your specialty or expertise, there could be a limiting belief unless you're actually doing really great in your business. So let's talk about it. So why is it important to find a niche or find that specific group of people that you want to work with? Well, if you look around, guys, in your specialty, you might notice that there are a lot of people who doing kind of the same thing. And when somebody would come into the presence, how would they know who they're supposed to hire, or how do they know who is the best teacher for them? If you look back at your own experiences when you hired somebody, the chances are they have stood out one way or the other. So let's talk about how to stand out and why it is important to stand out. I will be keep on going back to the idea of that bean bash and vanilla will blend in. And when you blend in, it's really hard for your ideal customers, for your ideal people to see you and to find you. So this is time for you to shine. Decide what is that one thing that you are best at. And there's a couple of ways to go around, guys, and I'll give you a couple of specific ways to sort of tease it out. One is start thinking about what is it that you're passionate about. You can talk about it day in, day out. You just love doing it. Time flies when you are in that zone and it just makes sense to you. So for me, my passion and my zone of genius, but the way I see it, is working with entrepreneurs. So emotional roller coaster, emotional journey for entrepreneurs is totally my zone of genius. This is something that when I work with that, time flies. If I'm writing a blog about that, if I'm making a video, or if I'm working with this person one-on-one or in group, it really feels good. So that's the first way to go about it. Second way, start thinking what kind of things you have achieved in your life. So maybe you were doing really great with your health and you knew how to navigate the health issues. If you are an EFT, fast EFT practitioner, you really find a great way how to connect the dots and figure out the emotional connection between your body and your physical diseases. So that would be a great area of expertise. Or maybe you had a lot of success in relationships in your life. You created some relationships, you help people deal through and navigate some difficult relationships, and this is something that you're very passionate about and you want to share. So start kind of teasing out and ask yourself questions. What is it that I'm good at naturally and I achieved some great results in? And what is it that I enjoy doing it? Those questions, just literally grab a piece of paper and just start journaling. They will help you find that part, that niche, that group of people that you serve best. Another thing that I wanted to mention, the last thing before we start some tapping, is when you really start thinking about it from that perspective, when you start specializing, you also being seen as an expert. So there's a couple of people in the fast shifty world and in yoga world, and then if somebody will mention something, say, oh, I know exactly the person you need to talk to, and other people will start referring people to you. I've came across this over and over again to where I would learn people who have the specific zone of expertise or genius, and I knew exactly who they can help. So I started making connections. I started sending people to the right places. Alrighty, so let's talk about any fears or any worries that comes up with the part of niching out or finding your perfect client. Some of the things that happens very often that there's not enough people. If you choose a niche, if you declare a niche, you won't have enough clients. Another piece that's come out very often is, what if I'm not that good at it, and I'm declaring myself as an expert and it's not going to work? So just start noticing it, because number one, if you think there's not enough people, that's probably the not enough belief. So tap it out. There's more than enough people. There's more than enough clients. If you're solving a real existing problem, the chances are there are people who could definitely use your help. Just start somewhere and start testing your ideas. The second piece, and this is absolute truth, guys, and this is something that I've heard, and I was like, oh my God, it makes so much sense. And it's like, okay, so let's say you want to have 3 kids, right? But unless you have one, you really don't know what is it like to have a kid. So even when you're starting niching out, or even when you're going in to say, okay, this is going to be my zone of genius or expertise, you gotta try it out. Now, I had to try a couple of things before I decided, okay, that's the entrepreneurs who are my ideal gang. Those are the people I work the best, because I'm very entrepreneurial. So try it out. Start with something, test it out, see if it works. If it doesn't fit, you can always try something else. And I see people in very, very successful people who do change their specialties as they grow, as their business evolve. So it's totally fine to change it sometime along the road. So just don't give up too fast. So really test it out. Alrighty, so let's do a couple of rounds on top. Any fears or worries that comes up around identifying yourself as an expert, or proclaiming your niche. So just step in it, start worrying, start feeling it, and just tap between your eyes and say that fear, that worry, whatever it come from, whatever it represents, not enough client, people will judge me, maybe I'm not that good to be an expert in that field, so I don't want to even try. I release and let it go. That fear, that thought, that memory, that moment in time that I believed it, no longer true. It's safe to clear it from every cell of my body. Just let it go. It's safe to let it go. Grab your wrist and breathe in. Breathe out. And savor peace. Beautiful. So keep on doing those rounds. And again, guys, when you tap fast GFT style, very simple. Step into this place. Notice what you notice. Could be pictures, sounds, sensations, memories, and just tap on it. Say it out loud. Now, when you tap, focus on your fingertips. So you really have this trance breaking going on. And then step into a happy memory to even have a better trance breaking kind of experience. Alrighty, that'd be all for today, guys. One thing I wanted to share with you, I have a webinar coming that is on something that I'm really, really kind of passionate about, and that is how to speak up, how to start your blog, start your newsletter. So I'll be sharing my own experience, how I started with my newsletters about 2.5 years ago. And I started with like 30 people who are my neighbors and friends. And then I've grown it to 450 plus people who are really my tribe, my community, people who love listening to what I have to say, and I love talking to them. So I'll be having a free webinar on how to create an experience like that, how to get started. So we'll talk about things like, okay, how do I even begin, and how do I communicate with them? We'll talk about 5 reasons why you should start it now and grow it now, and the difference between authentic conversation and email marketing that is just shooting from the rooftop. So we'll talk about how to release all the fears around starting, and how to really create consistent, amazing marketing experience and conversation experience with your clients, where you support them, and when they are happy to hear from you, they can't wait to see your newsletter or to hear your blog. So just opt in below, and I hope to see you on the call. I'll see you next time, guys.